Hey guys, this is going to be my review video of Ring of Honor Death Before Dishonor, just this past Saturday. We'll get to the review portion of it in just a second. I just want to give my thoughts real quick and say that it was a decent show. It wasn't spectacular, it wasn't bad, it was, to me, on an average Ring of Honor show. Especially for someone coming in new who hasn't watched it in the last probably 5 years, and with it being underneath Tony Khan, I wanted to see how it would do and how everything would go. So, first up, the first match is Claudio versus Jonathan Gresham. So right away, I didn't care for this match. I hate to say this. This match did nothing for me. I know it was the opening bout. I know it was supposed to be a World Championship match. It did not feel like a World Championship match. It felt like a match that deserved to be on AEW. Dynamite. Nothing spectacular. The only story that they told was Claudio climbing and trying to win the championship. Fine, but that's not all of the story that they should have told. They should have been telling Gresham, trying to keep the title, Claudio really clawing at it, and he wins by a powerbomb, not the neutralizer. I don't know if that was his original finish in Ring of Honor, but it is what it is. And I gave that match, what was it? I gave that match a 2.5 out of 5. I do 5 stars, so 2.5 out of 5. Next match was The Righteous versus Castle and the Boys. I thought both teams did great character work. In ring was decent. It was average. It wasn't spectacular. It wasn't bad. But there wasn't a story being told. It was just, hey, 2 teams, 6-man tag. We have 6-man tag team title belts. Okay, so there wasn't a real story being told between the two. And the announcers weren't doing a really good job in telling a story between the two, so it kind of lost me. I get Ring of Honor is there for wrestling, but you should also be able to tell stories in wrestling with announcers plus wrestlers equals good story. Other than that, it was a good, fine match. It was for a 6-man tag. It was very decent. But I also gave it, in the middle, 2.5 stars. Again, nothing good, nothing spectacular came out, but nothing bad came out of it, so I was okay with it. The next match. This is my first ever Pure match watching. I did not watch the Pure tournament when Ring of Honor was syndicated. I didn't have the time, unfortunately. So, Yuta versus Garcia. I think both are extremely good wrestlers. I was a little upset that they didn't play into the rules more for this match. I wish they could have. It would have been a fantastic... I think these two could have told a fantastic story, even within those rules, those limited rules. The match quality, fantastic, was a 4. Storytelling, they tried, but there wasn't as good a storytelling that they could have within those rules that they did. And character work, Combat Club versus JAS, that was the story, really. They were taking an AEW story and bringing it to Ring of Honor. In my opinion, shouldn't try doing that, but it is what it is. But other than that, I gave it a 3 out of 5. It wasn't a bad match. It was a good match, a very good, pure match that I thought had some interesting moments. But other than that, the story that could have been told. Other than that. Next match on the list is Rush versus Lee, Dragon Lee, and this told a good story. Brother versus brother, Rush giving the respect in the beginning, then starting to be a dick at the end. Move upon move upon move. It was a solid match, solid storytelling. Character work between the two was a little iffy because they kept it babyface, but Rush pulled out heel moments here and there. But I gave it a 4 out of 5. At the moment, it was the match of the night until I saw the main event. Serena Deeb versus Martinez. I don't know how to put this. I am a huge fan of women's wrestling. I'm a huge advocate for women's wrestling, and I think that there should be more women's wrestling, period, across the board on all national television stations. This is not a match to advocate for. This match did not... It was sloppy at times. The only moment that really got me excited was the submission at the end, because I'm like, holy shit, I've never seen that before. Other than that, it was okay. It was a decent women's match, but nothing to, if you're coming in the Ring of Honor and you see their women's division, you're like, okay, what do they bring to the table? They're a little better than AEW, not as good as WWE, and sure as hell not as good as Impact. Like, Impact right now, the Knockouts division in Impact is top tier than WWE, than Ring of Honor, than AEW. Even though Ring of Honor and AEW use the same women's roster practically. Other than that, it was a 3 out of 5. Again, decent story, okay character work, decent storytelling, and match quality was okay. So, wasn't all that bad. Joe and Lethal, I'll probably get some heat for this. Joe and Lethal, I'm gonna say this right now, was a 3.5 out of 5. And I hate to say that because 3.5 for a Joe Lethal match shouldn't be the case. It should have been a 5 out of 5 because I know how good both these guys are. Unfortunately, there were missteps. There were just psychology wasn't there. It was all over the place, and it was a decent match for what it was. It was a 3.5, like I said, out of 5. So for that, I say I'm sorry to anybody who watched the match and said great match, but unfortunately, not the case. And then the last match, FTR versus the Briscoes, 2 out of 3 falls. Match of the night. This, in my opinion, saved the pay-per-view. It was okay for the most part. It was a really good match. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. It was not a perfect match. Psychology-wise, they did fantastic. Character work, it was hard to tell who's heel, who's babyface. Storytelling, they did amazing. Ring psychology was out through the roof. But unfortunately, it still wasn't a perfect match. So with that, I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. And with that, it brings the total of the pay-per-view to a 3.5 out of 5. Again, average pay-per-view for Death Before Dishonor. Nothing really shot out to me other than the main event. And again, that's why it has the 0.5, because if it wasn't for that main event, it probably would have been a 3. But it was a good, solid pay-per-view for a fan that hasn't watched in years. Good to see the guys and girls getting back into it. I'm glad that almost every match was a championship match except Lee and Rush, which it was fine. It was brother versus brother. But other than that, 3.5 out of 5.